Good morning. Let's talk about Tarkir Dragonstorm. So for the first look for Tarkir Dragonstorm was over the weekend, and we got a bunch of preview cards and a ton of information on the set, including part 1 of the Planeswalker's Guide. I assume part 2 will be coming out shortly. So first of all, we saw some of the frames and Sarkhan's new card. The desparked watermark is going away now that he's already been printed in March of the Machine's Aftermath. But we see there is a version in the style of the showcase that we first saw in Aftermath, as well as a new sort of borderless one that's pretty cool looking. And that also has this like wild, like the Halo foil that they did in Aftermath. I think this is like a spirit dragon frame, or it's called something like that. I don't know. I don't pay attention. But anyway, yes, if you didn't remember from Aftermath, Sarkhan is desparked. I think this is a really cool card for him, where you can build him up into a stronger and stronger dragon over time. This version of Sarkhan feels like it would be a lot of fun as the head of a dragon deck. There's also a reference to Alesha, the trans woman from the Fate Reforged era. Note, Fate Reforged was 1,200 years ago, so obviously she's not around. This isn't like her spirit, but this is sort of they memorialize her as the Khan who found a way for them to survive Khanfall. If you weren't around back then, Khanfall is the term for the events that happened in Fate Reforged, where all the Khans fell and the Dragon Lords took over. That sort of brings me to the next point, which we've sort of known for a while, in that the clans are back, the Khans are back. A quick history lesson: while some of the clans had their old cultures suppressed when the Dragon Lords took over, the Mardu didn't, because Alesha decides to just sort of follow Kolaghan and keep up. They lost some of their traditions because of the nature of following these dragons and keeping up with them. Some of their culture, I mean. Shu Yun hid a secret vault of Jeskai lore, and he's actually one of the few Khans who was actually killed during Fate Reforged era because he was a Ghostfire master, meaning he, killed dragons. Yasova's own granddaughters, one of them was a Whisperer, which is their term for, their shamans. And we learn in Chronicle of Bolas that she helped hide them basically in plain sight so that the Temur traditions could be kept alive in secret. Anafenza, in the correct timeline, our timeline, dies, but dies having found a kin tree that Dramoka didn't manage to destroy, which is very important for the Abzan. And then obviously in the present, we know that Narset found the secret vault of Jeskai lore, and she's very conflicted about it because she viewed Ojutai as like a great mentor and teacher. But in the 5 years since Dragons of Tarkir in-universe and the 2 years since March of the Machine, rebellions formed in each of the Dragon Lords' territory, looking to revive the old clans, and Narset found a spell called the Storm Nexus ritual, which allowed them to sort of summon and create the spirit dragons that represented each clan. The Dragon Lords, the Elder Dragons, were all sort of swallowed up by a Dragonstorm in the aftermath of this, and Dragonstorms have acted very weirdly ever since, spawning all new kinds of dragons. That's where we're getting stuff like Stormscale Scion, which is poking fun at Mark Rosewater's Stormscale, or the dragons you see here in Inevitable Defeat. But that said, the classic broods aren't gone. You can see Kolaghan-style brood dragons up above. So dragons on Tarkir are now divided into clan dragons and wild dragons. Clan dragons are often either the remaining brood from before the Storm Nexus ritual, or newer broods that still look very similar, have very similar features, or they're wild dragons who don't submit to nobody. The new spirit dragons aren't the leaders of the clans, but they are sort of emblematic of the clans in a similar way to the Strixhaven founder dragons aren't actively leading the school, but they are very respected. So Shiko, Paragon of the Way, is the Jeskai dragon, 3 colors. Teval is the new Sultai dragon. The Sultai have gotten a pretty big update this time around. Baator is the new Abzan dragon. I just want to note all these designs are really sweet. I like them a lot. And of course we have a new cycle of Khans, both recognizable, familiar, and new. There's also this really cool Dragon Mox. Add 1 mana of any color, activate only if you control a dragon. That's going straight into, like, 2 of my decks. Continuity-wise, to be clear, the Khans of Tarkir clans never existed. The clans we're seeing in Tarkir Dragonstorm are based on 1,000-year-old cultures that were suppressed by the Dragon Lords. So they're more a little bit of the Dragon Lord clan and a little bit of people rediscovering and re-embracing the cultures they lost under the Dragon Lords. So things are going to be different. One last thing of note, the Spirit Dragon and the Khan both have cards in the set and in a commander deck. I think that's a pretty cool pairing. I really like that there's a commander deck set focused for each of these with not random characters, but like the leaders. So for Abzan, it's Baator and the new Khan Felothar. For Jeskai, it's Shiko and Narset. The Sultai are the new Khan Kodis, the Fangkeeper, and Teval the Balanced Scale, who is said to bring balance to the Sultai. And of course, Zurgo is back with the new, whatever the Mardu dragon's name is. I couldn't find it. And then finally, Eshki Dragonclaw and the new Temur Spirit Dragon, Rennie Song Unending. Anyway, I'm already 6 minutes into this video. That's the basics. If you want to learn more, check out the Planeswalker guides that they've posted.